Welcome back to Rumor Society. On this channel, we share our opinions on social media stories and headline news. Now let's get into today's story. Alright guys, so today we will be reacting to this young lady's story time. She titled it, How I Got Blamed for My Ex-Boyfriend's Death. Alright, let's get into it.
Done being silent about a situation that's happened to me a few months ago, and now I am going to speak publicly about it. While explaining the situation, I will not be saying names and I will not be using personal details. But to quickly explain what's going on, I am currently being blamed for the death of my ex-boyfriend that passed away a few months ago. Rest in peace to him. But I am done letting people just judge me for what they see and not actually come and ask me what happened and hear me out. So July 31st is the day that my ex-boyfriend passed away. He took his life. And before that whole month of July, me and my ex-boyfriend were on and off. So we weren't really dating, but we were still communicating. He had officially asked me to be his girlfriend back in January. And that is when he told me about his personal issues. As a person who has never dated anyone who has had thoughts of self-harm or thoughts of depression, I tried my best to help him any way that I could, even though sometimes he would tell me that my help wouldn't help. Adding on to after he asked me to be his girlfriend and finally told me the personal things he was dealing with, he told me that before he met me, he was planning on taking his life by the end of July. And me being the person that I am, I told him, I was like, no, I don't want you to do that. And he said that he wasn't, because I had entered his life and I had saved his life. That's what he told me. That same day, I told him and I said, hey, you really should tell your mom about this. And he responds to me, yes, I let her know already. She knows. So I said, okay, how did she take it? He had told me that she was going to try to get him on medication and he was going to see how it was going to work for him and improve. And so from that day on, I did not bring up that conversation anymore. Moving on, before July, which is June, we were still on and off. And around June 26th, we had stopped talking for a few days. And out of nowhere, he sends me this long paragraph on July 1st. In that paragraph, I wasn't able to read everything because it was unsent before I could read the whole thing. But it was him telling me about how he was going to go through with his self-harm. I'm not going to get into detail about why the paragraph was unsent. However, this was the first time that I was informed that he was still having suicidal thoughts.
All right, let's get into her part 2.
Later that same day, on July 1st, we finally got the chance to talk on the phone, and I asked him, hey, why are you having these thoughts again? Talk to me. Despite everything else that happened, he still couldn't really tell me why he was having the thoughts, but he did tell me that it wasn't my fault. During this conversation, I asked him, did he think the medicine was working? He told me no, that his last option might be a mental hospital. So after we finally had a talk, we got off the phone and tried to rekindle our relationship. It did not end up working, so we decided to part ways and just stop talking. Also, when me and him parted ways, it was during the middle of July, so it was 2 weeks before the whole situation had happened. Throughout our rocky relationship, I got very drained out, so I decided to start talking to someone new. Keep in mind, me and him have not talked at all, and I'm not sure how this came about, but I get a text one day from a Text Now number on July 31st, the day that he took his life, of him asking me if I had moved on. Here's the message right here. Y'all can do whatever y'all need to do. Pause it.
Yes, Queen, I do have to pause it. So the text says, you cut me off to talk to somebody else. She said, who is this? Within the same month as well. She said, I met him after we stopped talking, and genuinely he makes me the happiest girl ever. So I'm not going to do anything to ruin that. He does everything I begged you to do, so leave me alone, thank you. Remember what I told you before. What you mean. Lord.
And yeah, I know I haven't spoke a lot about how our personal relationship was, but what I can say is that I was cheated on a bunch of times while having to also take in the fact that his family thinks I cheated on him as well. More of the story, those were the last messages that I got from him, and those were the last messages that his parents have seen from me. Later that same day, on July 1st, we finally got...
So that's part 2. Let's get into her part 3.
That same day, I'm not thinking anything of it until one of his friends later that day calls me. One of his friends calls me and he's like, hey, do you know where so-and-so is? I said, no. And he replies, were you guys arguing earlier? Have you seen him? I said, no, we were not arguing earlier because we weren't. And he was like, okay. And he hung up. The next thing I know, I just see him being posted and I see an RIP on his friend's page that had called me. Automatically, my heart drops because I'm just like, whoa, what is going on? What do I not know right now in this moment? At first, I was in so denial about this whole thing. I was like, bro, there's no way, please say psych right now. After hearing the news for myself, I was really, really heartbroken. Not only because we ended on bad terms, but because I would be growing up with someone who I thought was going to be like my best friend for life, that I would always have love for, because despite everything that we've gone through, he was my best friend. And he was someone that I really, really, really love. Even though, yes, it may not have seemed like, our relationship was the best, but we still had good times. And I know, if he was here right now, he'd be defending me with his whole life. The same day, when I checked the date, my heart dropped because I suddenly have realized what he had told me a long time ago. Like I had said before in part 2, he told me that before we even met, that he was going to end his life on July 31st. Because I was already under the impression that he told me that he wasn't going to go through with it, and that he had told his mom about, the date, I was very shocked. I was very shocked to see the date that it happened on, because it was just unexpected, since he had told me, he had me under the impression that he was not going to do anything to himself. But however, I also have to take responsibility for him on July 1st, when he was first telling me that he was already having these thoughts, that I should have saw it coming. I should have said, okay, well, if he's already having these thoughts now, anything could happen after this. Sum up my whole side of the story. His parents are blaming me because they that I was just not saying anything on purpose, and I'm just here, no, when that was not even close to the case. But I'm not gonna force them to believe me, or force them to hear me out, or force them to hear my side and where I'm coming from. But you guys let me know in the comments what you guys think about this whole thing.
I don't think it's her fault, but I feel like their last text message, her last message to him, that's what really sealed the deal for him. That's my opinion. Now I can see the parents' perspective as well, because she's the last person he was communicating with, allegedly. So, I can see why they feel away. Why didn't you reach out? Why didn't you call the police? But we also have to understand her side. She's under the impression that he's getting help, that he's on meds, that his family's aware of it. Could she have reached out to somebody to let them know the text that she received? Yeah, she could have. Sometimes people say certain things for attention. I'm not saying that's what he's doing, but we all know a lot of times people say certain things for attention, and unless we know about their plan, what can we do, right? I don't think it's fair to blame his mental health on her, because clearly he was having issues and having these ideations before they started dating. To be honest, the first part of their relationship, when he started telling her these things, I really don't think they should have been dating. He was clearly not in the headspace to be even doing that. Whatever demons he was battling, whatever he was going through, he needed to focus on that, whether through medication management or therapy. That should have been his priority, as well as his parents. I don't think it's fair to blame other people for what they did or didn't do, because at the end of the day, more than likely he was living with his parents. They probably was seeing him every day in and out, and they missed signs as well. Like I said before, he clearly had issues before her. She's not responsible for his mental health. It's not like they were married, they were dating for years. She stated they were in an on and off again relationship. However, what I will say is that her final text to him did add fuel to the fire. I really don't think it was her intention, but unfortunately that's what happened. Alright, so this is her part 4.
Hey guys, I hope you guys are all doing well. This video is going to be a little update video, and a part 4 to me continuing speaking on the other parts, and also I'm going to be clearing some stuff up. I also want to give a huge thanks to everybody who supported me in this whole thing and just made me feel like I wasn't going crazy, and actually heard my side out, and actually encouraged me to keep going and stay strong in a situation, especially because I'm so young. But just thank you to everybody for all the support and the love, and I really appreciate it. Also, I'm going to be telling you guys some of the outcomes of the videos that I made, because some of his friends did see it, and let's just say they were not happy. I'm going to talk about how his friends reacted to the videos that I posted, and I'm just going to basically show y'all how they reacted, or one of them reacted.
Hey, you dumbass bitch trying to play like it ain't your fault. You know it's your fault, dumbass hoe.
Wow.
And that is why I did not want to speak out in the first place. Hopefully TikTok does not take this down because of, the language used. But that is why I didn't want to post it in the first place. But, you kind of get used to certain things being like said about you or people having their opinions about you, and you really just stop caring because you know the truth, and that person that is saying those things does not know you personally. This was sent to me while I was in school, so I was not aware that this was sent until after school was out. How to clear up the messages, because I can see that some of you said that I seemed very harsh and y'all thought that I was trying to be narcissistic. Because you guys don't really know what went on before July 31st, which means like what went on throughout our whole relationship. I understand you guys' concerns. However, I have my reasonings to why I responded the way I did to him. I can't say on TikTok because, like I said in my other videos, I am not here to bash anyone or to talk about anyone, especially someone who is not currently here right now. What I am going to say though is that even though someone might be struggling mentally, it does not give them the right to treat somebody any way that they want to treat them. But I can say that my intentions were to never be narcissistic or seem selfish, but to just simply move on from a very toxic environment and cut an unhealthy cycle. I'm not saying that what I said was right. I understand that what I said was pretty harsh and it could have definitely been taken the wrong way. It's a lot you guys don't know, and it's way more to those messages than you guys think. It's way beyond the messages and you responding. But I'm not going to speak on this anymore, you guys. This is going to be my last video. I might make like another video like down later, or like another video just if anything else happens. But this is going to be my last video, my last time talking about this, and I hope that you guys can kind of understand, like, even though I didn't really say too much, I hope you guys can kind of understand why I reacted the way I did to his message.
Alright, so here's the thing. This is still fairly new to the parents, his friends, everyone that cared about him, everyone that loved him. It's still fairly new. So I can see why her coming on the internet, telling her side, just trying to get her point of view across, it's aggravating fresh wounds, right? Here's my thing. They were not together anymore. She's not obligated to cater to his feelings. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. She does not have an obligation to him anymore. They're not together. Would it have been helpful if maybe she reached out to a friend or a family member to let them know what text message he sent? Yeah, more than likely it would have. But she didn't do it. So what do we do now? When situations like this happen, it's easy to just point fingers to try to blame somebody. The person who did it, they're not here anymore. It's easier to just pass the blame around. And unfortunately for her, she's the last person he had communications with, and that's how their conversation went. They're forever going to blame her. In my opinion, I think instead of being upset with her, they need to be looking at themselves, because like I said, that's his family, that's his friends. The last few weeks that he was around, he had more interactions with them than he did with her, right? She said they had broken up, she had moved on with her life. They should be looking at themselves, asking questions, what do we miss? To be honest, I don't think it will help, but I feel like it's more productive than placing the blame on her. I don't know any of these people, but I really hope they find a way to heal from this and just stop pointing the blame at each other. Whether he reached out to her or another friend or maybe another family member, it doesn't matter. This young man had made up his mind. He decided he no longer wanted to be here anymore, and he stuck with his decision, right? Regardless of what you want to think about her, she didn't handhold him through his decision. He made that decision on his own, because there's so many moving parts. You got people being upset with her. She needs to consider her own mental health, maybe change her phone number, block his family and friends on social media, whatever she has to do to move on with her life. Alright guys, I'm gonna wrap this video up. I'm curious to know your thoughts and opinions. Is she to blame for her ex unaliving himself? Please share your opinions in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.